You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phone. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas.
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, 21st day of April, 2020. If you can't see the screen I have up, by all means, go to our homepage at CFRN.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds. That will give you one-click access to the show each and every day. On the days you're out of the office, away from the desktop, just point any internet-connected browser to CFRN.net/live. There you'll find a live, real-time simulcast of the show as it unfolds. You'll also find us streaming live during the show on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Let's open with a word of prayer. By the way, John is feeling much better, or at least he's feeling better. So thank you all for your prayers. And he does plan to join us today for the show. So let's open as we have been with a word of prayer. Father, we thank you for all your blessings, your mercy, your grace. We ask you to continue to protect us from the spread of this coronavirus. You're powerful and merciful. Let this be our prayer. Jehovah Shalom, Lord of peace. We remember those living in coronavirus hotspots and those currently in isolation. May they know your presence in their isolation. May they know your peace in their turmoil and your patience in their waiting. Prince of Peace, you are powerful and merciful. God of all comfort and counsel, we pray for those who are grieving, reeling from the sudden loss of loved ones. May they find your fellowship in their suffering, your comfort in their loss, and your hope in their despair. We name before you those known to us who are vulnerable and scared, the frail, the sick, the elderly. God of all comfort, you are powerful and merciful. Jehovah Rapha, the God who heals. We pray for all medical professionals dealing daily with the intense pressure of this crisis. Grant them resilience in weariness, discernment in diagnosis, and compassion upon compassion as they care. We thank you for the army of researchers working steadily and quietly towards a cure. We pray that you give them clarity, serendipity, and unexpected breakthrough today. Would you rise above this present darkness as the Son of Righteousness with healing in your rays. God of all wisdom, we pray for our leaders. We pray even for the World Health Organization, national governments, local leaders, heads of schools, hospitals, other institutions. Since you have positioned these people in public service for this hour, we ask you to grant them wisdom beyond their own wisdom to contain this virus, faith beyond their own faith to fight this fear, and strength beyond their own strength to sustain vital institutions through this time of turmoil. God of all wisdom and counsel, you are powerful and merciful. Father, we recall the words of Psalms 91. Surely he will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but I pray that it not come near you. Psalm 91. May El Shaddai, the Lord God Almighty, who loves you, protect you. May Jesus Christ, his Son, who died for you, save you. And may the Holy Spirit, who broods over the chaos and fills you with his presence, intercede for you and in you for others at this time. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, let's take a look at a chart. This is a familiar chart. It's the daily chart of the S&P 500 Emini Futures. And what we've been talking about has happened. We started talking about it last night as we started to get close to those lowest weekly trading zones for this week. We commented in the discussion group last night that as price comes down in the vicinity of those lowest weekly zones, we should fill this window that we've been waiting on. It all started back here with a bearish cross at a price of 32.72, which took us down to a swing low on March 23rd. That swing low price, 21.74. It took us 1, 2, 3, 4 sessions to get back to the BBC, where we found resistance, which is what we would expect. Resistance sent us down to blue and climbing, where we would expect to find support. And then it took us 3 sessions to get above the BBC, at which point we begin to expect higher prices versus lower prices. So we spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sessions climbing. And then this little doji said just perhaps this might be where the pullback comes in. Yesterday, we talked about this on the show, that if we close the session below blue and climbing, that when the session opened last evening, the Tuesday session, which starts Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, that just might be the beginning of the pullback that brings us to the BBC, which fills that window of opportunity. And now we're at the BBC. Here comes the next big decision the market has to make. One of 2 things is going to happen here. The BBC will hold and will begin a leg to the upside, or the BBC will fail to hold, which means we could spike down to this important area right here. And that's the price, just as the price that began this with the bearish cross up here at 32.72, this bullish cross, which we'll call 26.13. If we spike below the BBC, we would expect this area to provide good support and still give us that leg to the upside. However, if we take out this area of support as we come down, if we get below the BBC, well, the next area for potential support right here. And if that doesn't hold, then we're back to test the low. Patience. In the meantime, we'll continue to do what we've done each and every day, not only since this pandemic began, but what we've done every day for many, many years now, and that's to simply trade what's right in front of us. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. These are the cash markets or the indices. Pull in some fresh data. Currently, the Dow is down 588 points. It's 2.5%. NASDAQ down 289, a little over 3%. S&P 500 down 81, almost 3%. And the Russell 2000 down 32, 2.5%. In the commodity basket, crude oil down, actually crude oil up, these are some odd numbers, up $43, trading $5.39 last. Remember, we went negative yesterday on crude. That's a gain of 114%. We'll talk a lot more about crude during today's show. In the Asian markets, or let's see, gold down $17.80, trading $16.9340 last. It's a drop of about 1%. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei down 388 points, 2%. Shanghai down 25. Hang Seng down 536. It's a little over 2%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 171, 3%. DAX down 412, 26.4%. The CAC down 170, almost 4%. That gives us a red day in Asia, red day in the UK. So far, it's a big red Radio Tuesday here in the US of A. Let's go to Michael if he's ready to get a recap of everything that happened in the live training room today.
Okay. I am ready.
You're ready?
Slide this over here. I am indeed. Just setting people up in Ninja Trader 8 right now.
Now last week, guys, when I published the weekly trading zones for crude, and I mentioned this on the show last week, and I'll show it to you when I come back. The lowest price that I had, the lowest weekly trading zone for crude last week was, and I'll show it to you when I come back once I find the page. Here it is. $12/$12.05. That was the lowest weekly trading zone for last week. And I remember telling you that I almost felt embarrassed putting it out there because how ridiculous. No way crude's going to go to 12 bucks. But well, we'll take a look at the chart when I come back and we'll see exactly what it did do. So, but Michael, I've got you locked and loaded, so
Okay.
it's all yours.
I'm ready to go. Ready to go.
And again, guys, John will
All right.
be joining us today. I spoke with him on the phone. He's feeling better.
Oh, good. Good. Okay. Yeah. Let me do this. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Today is the 21st day of April, 2020. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage at CFRN.net. And right down here, it says free 5-day trial. I mean, it says it in a bunch of different places, but anyway, when you click it, it's going to bring you to this page, eminitrainingschool.com. On this page, all we ask for is your name, your email, your phone number. And you can tell us your biggest trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Hit the send button and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, we don't know you took the trial if you don't click the confirmation link. All right. So, results. We had a big day today. Big day in gold, anyway. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. The spreadsheet goes back over 7 years of our daily results. Okay. Today, we made 4 ticks in the euro, 73 ticks in gold, and 14 ticks in the ES. That put us at plus $930 per contract this morning. Again, today it took 11 minutes and 1 trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract, and we took a total of 8 trades this morning. Now you'll see when I go through the charts here in just a minute that there were way more than 8 trades. But you know, once I got the goal for the day, I kind of got into training mode instead of trading mode. But you can see the way with the volatility that we have. You know, we got the goal on the first trade that day. That's 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, 8 days out of 14 trading days so far this month. And it's just been insane with this volatility. On the month now, we're up $6,490 a contract. That's over 14 days, averaging $463 per day. On the year, well, sorry, I moved that all around. On the year now, we are up $28,463. That's over 72 trading days, averaging $395 per contract per day. Now let's get into what happened and what we did and what we didn't do. Now gold, I'm going to show you gold. Gold was crazy today. And you know, it's been trading so thin that I haven't been trading it, but I did trade it today. And then my DOM stopped keeping up with my chart. I should have been up way more than I was. But if you look, now we're gonna back this out on gold. Okay, so our first trade on gold was right here. We picked up 10 ticks. The next trade was right here. We picked up 10 ticks. The next trade was right here. And you see, then it just went parabolic. And we picked up 53 ticks on that. We should have been able to get more out of it right here. But it was, my DOM was messed up. And I had to make a phone call. But there was another trade right here, here, all winning trades. We're not even at 10:30 yet. When it started moving up over here, there was a trade there. See, the slingshot needed to reset. There was a short in here, right here. Okay, and now we're finally at 10:30. And there were just so many trade opportunities. There. There's another one right there. A long opportunity there. And yeah, there were more short opportunities when it came back down. There. This right here, I was trying to identify the trend for people in the room. People were asking questions about the trend, and it's not subjective. It's not. The trend is a trend. And let's see. This was a long right here. Capture that. Then another long right there. Then it flipped around and got choppy in here. And this is all during the break. I'm not going to go through everything that happened during the break, but just suffice it to say that there was plenty of opportunity during the break as well. There. Yeah, gold was pretty wild today. And we got 73 ticks on it. Okay, the euro. Now the euro had some good opportunity too. Whenever gold has opportunity, the euro is probably going to give it to. Usually go together. But there was a long trade right there, another one right there. Then it got sideways in here for a little while. Then there was a short trade right here, which we took and got a break even on. A long trade right here, which we took, and we picked up 4 ticks. Now again, this is where I was trying to establish a trend for people. Okay, and then during the break, there was a short here, and that was about it. Okay, now crude oil. Let's back crude oil, because crude's been all over the place today. If you look at it here on a 15-minute chart, see the low of the day. This is what Dwayne's going to go over in a little while. The low of the day was 1176. I'm pretty sure that was. Yeah, right around that range, 1180. Just call it 1180. I've never seen crude trade this low. But let's go back to what we did with it today. Okay, we didn't do much. We only took 1 trade on crude because once I was up so far, I just went into training mode instead of trading. But there's a short opportunity right there and right there. Long here and here. Short here. Now, you just got to look at the slingshot, okay? Because the slingshot's telling you the story. kind of ahead of time. It's telling you what's most likely to happen. Like right here, there's a long right here to capture that. Then another long right there. Another long right there. There was just so much opportunity, but we ended up with one break-even trade. See all this right here? I must have been looking at some other chart or something like that, because I did not put little ellipses on it like that. Like I normally do when he trades that up that I don't get in. There was a long right there, a short right there, a short right there, another one there, a couple more right in here, a few more, a long right there. It was just crazy today. And we had another break even right there. So I got to update my spreadsheet for 2 trades that were break even trades that I did not account for. Then we get into the break, and you can see all the movement in the break. See all of that. There are just a ton of trade setups in there. It's if you're not a CFRN partner and you don't know how to trade these markets, I don't know why. We have so much opportunity right now, and they say make hay while the sun shines. Well, the sun is shining. Now on the ES, what did we do? We were plus 14. Missed a short there. And there's a bunch of trades in here that I'm just not identifying right now. But there. On this one, we picked up 12 ticks right here. And on our first one, right here, we picked up 2 ticks. There's a lot of trades in here that, I could go through this, but it would take me a half an hour to go through them all. But there was a lot of movement, and if you look at it on a larger time frame, you could see that right here, there was so much movement. And this is last week's weekly trading zone. So I'll take that off, so it's not deceiving. But there was so much opportunity in every single market today. On the 4-tick range particularly, there was just so much opportunity. Okay, so I'll go over the spreadsheet again. If you can read the spreadsheet, you can read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today's the 21st day of April, 2020. Made 4 ticks in the euro, 73 ticks in gold, 14 ticks on the ES. That put us at plus 930 on the morning session. Today it took 11 minutes and 1 trade, and it wasn't really 11 minutes, it was really about 4 minutes, because I got the room opened on time, but I was running a couple of minutes late. To get to $100 a contract, and we took a total of 8 trades. So on the month now, we're at $6,490 a contract. That's over 14 trading days, averaging $463 per day. On the year, we're at $28,463. That's over 72 trading days, averaging $395 per day. So how many days do we have left? 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 7 more days this month. Business days, I mean. Where is it? Here it is. If you have not taken the free trial, go to the home page at CFRN.net. And on the home page, it says free 5-day trial. Click on that, and you'll be brought here to EminiTradingSchool.com. On this page, all we ask for is your name, your email, your phone number. You can tell us your biggest trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Hit the send button and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link, okay? If you don't click the confirmation link, we don't know that you took the free trial. And with that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready. Okay, let me see if John's out there. Not yet.
Okay. All right, recap the recap.
Today it took 11 minutes and 1 trade to get to $100 per contract.
That's a good job.
I'm telling you, this volatility is just crazy. You know,
Yeah, it is.
8 out of 14 trading days so far this month. I got it on the first trade.
Yeah, it's incredible.
There's so much opportunity.
It really is. There he is. So here we guys, we're sitting right on top of the BBC on the daily chart. So let us first go to the recap of Logic 247, which Valerie was just kind enough to send over to me. And we're in week 90. Week 90 had a 32 total alerts issued, 2 never triggered. We're still waiting on the results of 4. It gave us 26 actionable alerts. So far, 0 have been stopped out. Now that's 2 unusual days back to back with 0 stopped out. On average, or we average about 20% being stopped out on any given week, but we'll take it because that's how it unfolded. So let's take a look at the actual alerts that are Logic 247. Now we started out Sunday night, week 90. Last week's results, week 89, we had 44 total alerts. 4 of them stopped out, 11%. So again, last week was an unusual week because we averaged 20% being stopped out. Now, I went through each one of these individually yesterday. Starting Sunday night, we went through the S&P. So if you missed yesterday's show, all you got to do is go to youtube.com/CFRN. Fast forward up to where you see me doing this recap. And we did a recap of that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. We recapped them all right up until noon yesterday. So I'm thinking this is probably about where we pick up right here. So this is the Dow. The alert was to sell 23,750. The initial target was 23,730, and the final trade 2 target was 23,375. Now, is there anyone in the audience, anyone on the trial, who does not understand how this works, how the alert channel, the logic channel, we have 2 types of alerts, but we're on the logic alerts right now. These are the ones that run 24/7 from Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern till Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern. Alerts can come at 2 a.m. They can come at 2 p.m. The criteria for posting an alert is simply when opportunity presents itself. So of course, when you're sleeping, you don't want your phone dinging all night long. So you turn notifications off. When you wake up, you're ready to trade again. You turn notifications back on Any of the alerts that came out while you were sleeping will still be in the channel. And if it's already triggered and already reached its target, not to worry, because quite often, in fact, more often than not, we'll see these alerts trigger multiple times during a session. We only recap the first trigger. In the beginning, we tried to recap, all the trigger, but it was too much to keep track of. So we just recapped the first one. All right. So let's go to the Dow. Right here. We'll get rid of this for right now. Okay. And that alert on the Dow came out. You hover over the date. Now the date that you see when I drag the screen up is Pacific, because I'm on Pacific time. On your Telegram, whatever zip code or whatever area code, whatever time zone you're in, that's the time that's going to be reflected in your Telegram channel. So for me, it was 11:12 a.m. So that's 12:1. That's 2:12 a.m. Eastern. My charts are set on Eastern time. And so this was on April 20th at 2:12 a.m. Eastern. So here's the 2 o'clock. And the alert was to be short 23,750. 23,750. The initial trade to target was 23,730. 23,730. So from 750 to 730, that's 20 points. At $5 a point, it's $100 per contract traded. But the final trade to target was 23,370. And that's going to be right there. 23,370. Alexa, 23,750 minus 23,370.
2,420 minus
Alexa, stop.
2,418. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks. I'll do it by
Thanks for your
hand.
feedback.
23750 minus 233. It's 375 points times $5 per point is $1,875 per contract traded. That's what this alert was worth if you entered here and exited at the final target. Okay. Next one was crude, and this took place on the 20th at 2 a.m. Let's just go to crude. And we'll go to the 20th. These ones may have been done early enough yesterday that we had a chance to recap these already. This one was to be short 2070. So no, we haven't recapped this yet. So 2070. Let's see, that was April 20th at noon. And this came out April 20th at... Actually, this came out... Hang on. Okay, let me show you so you understand exactly. When you hover over this, so that came out on, so it's actually the 21st at 2:15 a.m. 2:16, because my charts are on Eastern time. So we need to go to the 21st at 2 o'clock a.m. So let's get on the 21st at 2 a.m. And the trigger was 2070. There we go. 2070. All right. Now the initial target was 2060. The final trade to target was 1985. And 1985 is right here. Now, 1970, right below it, that would be $1,000 per contract traded. From 2070 to 1970, it's $1,000 per contract traded. But the target here was 1985, so it's more like $850 per contract traded. Just because you have a target doesn't mean you have to get out of a perfectly good trade. You can stick around. You can stick around and wait for an exit signal. Okay, so that's $850 per contract traded. But price is dropping. Price is on the left side of red and falling. The step line is on the left side of red and falling. So while you have a final target here, if price is still moving in the direction of your trade, you might want to stick around, because eventually price will give you an exit signal, as it did right here on this candle. You see the step line crossed over, coming down, we're on the left side. Then price starts to walk sideways, and once the step line crosses over red and falling, we're looking for the first green candle that closes above the step line. So this candle closed at 1565. So exit signal. $15.65. Alexa, 2070 minus 1565.
2017 minus 1,565 is 452.
Oh, she got it wrong again. They'll do it manually. 2070 minus 1565. That's a $5,000 per contract move from the entry to the exit signal. And when you become a partner or passport holder, I teach you how to spot the exit signal. Again, as a discretionary trader, whatever your goal is for the day, you can get out anywhere along the way, or you can wait for the chart to tell you that the move is possibly over. In this case, it wasn't quite over. It continued to drop.
Take a look at crude right now, Dwayne. I don't mean to interrupt.
No. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, okay. All right. That is good. Okay. Yeah. It just dropped down below $11.
These are historical times, folks. Again, last week, our lowest weekly trading zone for crude was $12/1205. I almost didn't publish it, but I made a promise to myself a long time ago that when I do the numbers on Sunday night, whatever they are, no matter how crazy they seem, I publish them, live with them, and I'm glad I made that decision because I have something
John,
constant to anchor myself to. Okay.
That's right.
All right.
You gotta
Guys.
act consistently if you want consistent results, right?
That's exactly right. So we're up to this one, crude, but we still have a lot more to go. And after we finish talking to John, we'll recap these. We'll take a look at the Concierge Trade Alerts. And you're going to see just how much opportunity is out there. And I got to tell you, with the volatility, with the opportunity that abounds right now, just a couple of these alerts can pay for your passport. The passport's for life. So, John, glad to have you with us. Certainly glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks for having us on. Speaking of the oil, I would be, and it's a crazy thing to say, and it's it's incredibly risky because obviously what happened yesterday caught a lot of people out. But I wouldn't rule out a very dramatic rebound from here or from somewhere down in this area because the market is sort of, even though it's a pretty brutal sell-off today, I think if they pass this additional funding in the next day or two, that could could get a late rally going before the end of the week. We did talk about Tuesday being, first of all, my work actually gave a sell signal on Friday, and going into yesterday, it kind of accelerated, and today it's accelerated even further.
Now, this is the Z contract, John. The Z contract's trading at $28.
Yeah, that's what you call a positive divergence, as long as it doesn't take out the low that was made there earlier. If like, it's actually a perfect recipe for a turnaround right about here. I'm not saying that'll happen because they're not showing signs of that just yet. But if it were to, if we started seeing some green show up, it could imply. I mean, look. You really think the Crown Prince or Putin and Trump on sort of figuring out? I mean, he's just said he's going to fill up the strategic reserve of 75 million barrels. 75 million barrels will probably go a long way towards fixing this problem, because in spite of the huge amount of excess, taking down 75 million barrels will really go a long way towards normalizing things. And my personal assessment of this virus, first of all, look, shock everybody now because by the way, a home test was just approved today, so pretty soon you might be able to test yourself if you don't want to go to the other extremes.
And who's bringing that to market?
Somebody called NabCorp or something like that.
Okay.
It just got put out today. I haven't put a price on what the test is yet, but probably a couple hundred bucks, something like that, maybe. Anyway, maybe less. Maybe they're going to make it free. Who knows? But in other words, well, I guess they might not make it free because they probably can't handle 300 million. But the look at the market turning here. See that?
It's trying.
Yeah, pretty good. So this is perfect because the near-term month made a lower low. The December month didn't. This is a recipe for a turn, and it's actually turning the market. We're just stabilizing here right now. The VIXs, which have had a meteoric rally in the last couple of days, are actually starting to come off. So I actually have a potential buy signal right here on things, and it might actually surprise on the upside. So just be ready for it. The situation is, I sort of said right right before the bottom, I think I said I was getting optimistic. To be honest with you, I was a little bit more pessimistic last week, especially because I was struggling a little bit myself with some sort of an infection that just wouldn't go away. And so I came back about 4 times, and I found on Reddit there's a lot of people who are in the same boat. And
all right, I think we lost John's audio. All right, on crude, last night's Concierge Trade Alert and the Logic 247 alert were both right at the same price. And if you want,
sorry about that. So anyway, there's all these guys writing on Reddit, all these people who got the virus and really having. I was talking to Rich about it too, and he, they're struggling with it coming back, and so this is a sort of a over a month or 6 weeks, they're getting the repeat symptoms, whether they're being reinfected or whether it's kind of it disappears and then it comes back inside you. Who knows? But it's definitely causing a lot of people to struggle getting over this thing. And obviously anybody who's been in the hospital has the potential for damage, organ damage, from the heart to the liver, the kidney, even the brain. It's really, troubling from that standpoint. What I'm about to say is very profound and kind of, in some ways it's a positive, and in other ways it's a negative. But I don't know the full details of this, but this study that was done in Santa Clara, where kind of a random test, and 50 to 80 times as many infections as they thought, is changing the whole game in terms of understanding how potentially dangerous this virus is in some respects, and in other respects is actually a positive, because the majority of those people were asymptomatic. Even a good portion of the audience might be infected, they don't even know it. And we were actually discussing this last night with somebody his relative is a major, really a big force in medicine in the world. He's a founder of about 15 pharmaceutical companies, a very, very smart guy. And he was predicting months ago that he thought that we'd have 60 to 80 million infections in the U.S., which at the time was a very a mind-blowing number to contemplate. But actually, it's not so mind-blowing anymore, given what has come to light in the last week or so since this study, because we actually think. And this is original. You didn't hear anybody else in the world talk about this. This is brand new. We figured it out last night. We think that this virus is so infectious that it is actually airborne in a massive way. Very similar. It's like spores, and it's like allergies. The
like
allergies
pollen?
you get. Pollen, exactly. That was the word we used, and that's the kind of a mind-blowing kind of realization, if you like. However, it actually is kind of a positive, because the numbers of asymptomatic are potentially so huge, thank God, that the death rate supposedly is as low as 0.001%, which, given how many people unfortunately have succumbed to this, and the other thing is, I hate to say it, but a lot of the people, if the death rate is 0.001%, this virus is just going after an incredibly small number of people, with dire consequences. So in a way, the virus can't continue or survive for too much longer if approximately 1/5 of the population becomes infected, which just happens to be the 60 to 80 million people that this doctor came up with months ago. And the other thing that's encouraging is this Israeli statistician has come up with a theory that the virus will run its course in about 7 weeks. And that's basically what happened in China already. And it's happened in South Korea almost to the day, almost the perfect model, if you like. And it's somewhat apparent in Thailand and Malaysia and the nearby countries that got the virus first, from the Chinese, maybe Taiwan. We haven't seen too much about Taiwan, but they're all kind of in the same general thing. And what it would imply is that we've got about 3 weeks to go here, in the US, maybe a bit more in some of the countries in Europe, and around the world, maybe 4 or 5 weeks. Now, another one is Australia. In Australia, has just done an amazing job of containing the virus so far. So it's kind of turning fairly positive. And the other thing is, the hospitalizations are declining. More people are getting the medications. The Dominican Republic president has decreed that everybody in the country can get the hydroxy, which is what they probably should have done in the US long ago.
Right.
And we've been trying to, we've been all over that for how long? Months, and same with Avigan or even ivermectin, whatever works. As long as it saves lives, you're crazy not to be using it. And so, it's, I actually really, I don't know what it is, but I kind of got this thing in my head ever since that quote from that book, how this virus sort of came out of nowhere in 2020 and then disappeared just as quick. We might just be not that far away from this thing literally running itself out. And it makes sense because, nobody ever talks about apart from the research angle and going into caves and fishing out bats that started this whole thing, as a result of the SARS and the MERS and these other things, this thing could be, I wouldn't say forgotten about, but it could be a distant memory, at some point.
Sure.
Even some months from now. So, it's kind of, and who knows, there may be some breakthroughs. The vaccine stocks are going incredibly well. mRNA is started. When they started the vaccine trials, it was at 25. It's hit 55 this morning. Came off. INO, which I'm kind of pretty keen on that as well, is about a month behind. So it ran up over 10 today. Came off a little bit. They might have run. You just don't know because now the market's starting to rally. It could pick these, including Gilead. I actually like Gilead a lot. And as you know, on this program, about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, I actually laid out a scenario where I said you need to be basically long this stock or buying the dips because we knew they were going to start a study, and we said if they stop that study or if the results come out positive, the stock could take off, could explode higher. It didn't explode higher, it was up about $12, but it certainly lifted the market, and and actually the way it's setting up right now, technically, if you put up the 30-minute line, you'll see that it's potentially turning very bullish, this Gilead.
I'm going to bring it up here in just a second.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I think the stock could go to $1 to 130 maybe, if it get, because it's got this kind of fairly bullish formation developing right now. So if the market turns positive again, it could lift all of these stocks. The other stocks, we've talked about.
Here's
Roku.
Gilead on a 30-minute.
Yeah, actually, it was looking better this morning. See that green? Initially it looked like the green was going to be, like just skyrocket this thing higher. But because of look, all of these stocks, when there's a brutal sell-off, they all kind of, react. So just, you have to look at this as possibly, not necessarily, we've come down into a very thin trading range here. Kind of looks like we could actually pick up later today. This is a very difficult stock to trade most of the time. Has a habit of selling off when it opens higher. And you have to go in and figure out where the bottom is and try and get ready for the next upturn. But I think there's enough buzz, if you like, about theirs. I mean, look, they had 125 odd people, and only a few of them died. Most of them recovered completely. That was these were very, very late stage cases, so I guess that's the reason why the stock reacted as dramatically as it did. But it's certainly giving the whole sector a lot of impetus, if you like, especially mRNA. Most of these, NVAX and NVC, all it looks like this whole sector is likely to take another move upwards. That one hasn't moved yet. It's just kind of basing out. But NVAX was up pretty sharply in the last few days. I see there's kind of a lot of green there. It looks like it's stopped going down, and it might just be ready for another run. And
There's been some pretty quiet trading here over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And it's obviously not going down, which is kind of an interesting way it's trading. This thing could suddenly just like take off to the upside. So the other one is there's a little stock called VBIV. That was up this morning initially, but it sold off. It's not, it's kind of had quite a strong move in the last month or so.
Yeah, this is daily, so it had a big rally yesterday.
Yeah. If it takes out it could actually break out a lot. And there's somebody from Sanofi just joined that company recently. Some guy who's a big vaccine guy. Also, check out CYCC. This is why you want to be very careful of these things when they do trade. I missed this one because I was sick yesterday. I missed this one, unfortunately, but look what happened. I mean, it kind of opened higher, went up and down in one day.
Basically doubled in a day and then came right back to where it started.
Yeah, exactly. Tripled in a day.
So it went from $9 to 18.
Yeah, but I mean from the previous day, 6.
Oh, from the previous day, yeah, 6. Yeah, you're right. It was a triple. Yeah.
So actually, so the other one is I think the gold. You might want to put the gold is possibly put in a low this morning. It's not very visible yet, but you can see how we've had a kind of a sort of a flaggish formation there. I think if really 1700 is now really the key. If we break through 1700 with authority, I think you can see this thing easily going to 1800 pretty quickly. 1800, maybe 1850, and getting into I think if you get to the 18s, you're going to go 1819 pretty quick. We've talked about this before. I missed a few days, but I've got to tell you, I'm just totally blown away by the whole debt situation and how that's unfolding. The debt right now, when we looked at it before the Fed came in with the 2.3 trillion, we were at about 23.6. We're about 24.5 trillion now, based, I guess, on how much the government has already, dished out. seems to me that the current has, it's closer to 25 or 26 trillion already, which certainly puts gold, at a considerable discount to where it has ever been versus the debt. It's at a $700 about an $800 discount actually right now to gold. It's never been that low before, I don't think. Now, the shocker. Would you like to hazard a guess as to where the deficit is in 2024? The debt.
Where?
I think it's 43 trillion, something like that. You might want to pull it up, the US debt, USdebt.org. Look. It's staggering. It's been going up by trillions per day, literally. It's just like unbelievable. So, it's 24.5 right now. So, if you go, the time machine, go forward there to 2024. 40 trillion. There you go. 40 trillion. Look at that. I mean, if we're not at $4,000 an ounce by 2024, there's something wrong with the laws of economics. So,
indeed,
one of the things that's somebody made a comment that the gold has a close relationship to the debt to GDP ratio, right? So basically, the debt to GDP ratio was recently about 100%. It's probably about 110 now, something like that. If you just go back to 2020 for a minute, if you could.
Back to 2020.
Just go to the left on the arrow on the top left. Just
there we go.
Okay. See the debt. I mean, it was about 105. Now it's 113. So we're at 1,700 today, right? So go back to 2024.
There we go.
So 191 is pretty much a double. So we should be at least 3,400 on gold by 2024, or over 3,000, say. Kind of worst case scenario, I would say. Look at the federal debt, 4 trillion in 2024. Look at the federal tax revenue. I mean, it's down sharply. If you just go to the left-hand corner, the left arrow at the top left corner, to go back and see the difference between the tax revenue of 2024 and what it is today, or what it was before this disaster hit us.
So go back to 2020.
Yeah, if you just we're underneath where it says guild stock price, just the left arrow, instead of going to the time machine, it just goes back to where you were.
Oh, up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So look at the difference. You're $1 trillion less in revenue in 2024,
Wow.
according to this projections.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like gigantic, and already look, we're 3 trillion this year already.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, it really is, and I mean, it's going to have. I mean, I think you can some confidence. You can say, 2,000, 2,100 is virtual inevitable now. 2,500, more than likely, possibly by the end of the year, could be a lot more. Look, you got people like Frank Holmes from U.S. funds, this guy, U.S. global funds. This guy's one of the biggest names in gold, and I've never heard this guy ever talk about $2,000 gold before, and he's talking about 10,000 gold. And Pierre Lassonde is the CEO of Franco-Nevada. He's talking about 20,000. These guys are, they're not exactly crackpots. They're pretty smart guys. And for them to be talking that magnitude, you better pay attention, because they've never. It's just like Ray Dalio, Ray Dalio, IG out of London, Guggenheim, with Scott Miller, these guys. These fellows are really, and remember, we did the work on this, Sam Zell bought gold for the first time in his life at 1,300. This is last year. What did these guys see before anybody else? The Egyptian billionaire who's got, 2.5 to 3 billion in gold. Druckenmiller and all these people, these smart money guys are up, heavy into gold, and they were right. They made the smart money's made a incredibly good trade given what happened to the markets. Now the next thing is the next. I mean, it kind of looks like we're. By the way, that big red arrow, see that here? That's a really big deal. That's potentially one of the biggest buy signals gold's ever had in its life, ever. And it's probably enough to push it up beyond 2,000.
Which one, John?
That pullback that we had, here, that red pullback, that doji,
this one,
and the fact that we've gone above it is extremely.
Yeah,
and,
if we can close above where we were rejected the previous 2 months, that would be big, and that brings us right up to this resistance at 1792, and if we can get through that resistance, then it takes us on up to 1900.
Yeah, it really looks like this thing is gunning for all-time highs, pretty soon, and it's already making all-time highs in almost every currency in the world. And look, Russia has been buying gold for a long time. Like for 15 years, they've been buying a tremendous amount of gold, and the same with the Chinese. These guys, they've done the numbers, and it's who knew that this was coming. But I mean, we knew something was going to make it. I was going to say, remember that guy who made the bet that gold would hit 4,000 by 2021, and if he does, he's going to make like 100 million off a 6 million investment or something. So the
there's a question from the audience. We're just talking about the debt in 2024. What do you think the stock market will look like in 2024?
Well, unfortunately, I think we're going to get another hit. Even this downturn, if they don't nip this downturn in the bud right now, Boeing doesn't look very good on the chart, frankly. Looks really bad. You want to put it up?
Here's a monthly chart of the S&P 500 index. I mean, if we hold here, then it's really not so bad.
It's okay. Yeah. Well, you know what I think is going to happen if you can put Apple up.
Sure.
Because Apple got hit pretty hard today.
Now let me get it off monthly.
Is that a weekly or
that's monthly. That's monthly. We'll put it on daily. There's daily.
Okay. Yeah. You see the way I think Apple. I think this. See that big bar that rallied back in March or late February. You could argue there's a sort of head and shoulders bottom in the making here, right?
Yeah, there's a head, shoulder. Yeah, you could argue that.
So if we hold, in line with the lows on the green, maybe about 260, 255, somewhere like that, and turn up, that would be very bullish. If my scenario on the virus is right, this thing's, I think we will go a lot higher. Because remember, if people start going back to work and, all of a sudden you have millions of people coming off the unemployment lines, market's going to rally on that news, almost for sure. You got Amazon By the way, we called the highs on Amazon the last couple of days, up around 24.50, and it's taken a bit of a hit, but I think it's just a pullback right now. It's probably going to go back up.
So why do you think silver's having a hard time keeping up with gold?
Yeah, actually, kind of after looking at it, I think the gold might have a bit more work to do still. But remember, I think that $450 billion deal. Look, Schultz came out yesterday, the coffee guy, Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
He said it should have a T in front of it, and he's dead right. It's got this pussy putting around with 500 billion is just not going to cut it. They need $1 trillion at least, and I wish they'd get on with it, because it's really an embarrassment the way they haven't stuck on this one. They really should have been about a much bigger package. Should have been a 3 trillion instead of a 2 trillion package from day one. So hopefully they'll fix that. Because if they don't, I think it's gonna be damaging to the market.
You mentioned Boeing. Here's Boeing right here.
Wayne, that's a terrible looking chart, don't you think? And it's just
I see nothing to get happy about. No.
So, especially
It
when
looks
it
like
gaps
it's going
up
back to test these lows.
Yeah. So, that and most of the airlines and the stocks that got a reprieve are really sort of heading back to the lows again. So the scenario is not good. There's no question about it. It's pretty brutal. So we're making it a rally attempt. It's definitely getting better, and who knows? I mean, stranger things have happened, but look, if Apple turned right here and went up, it would be even more bullish than what we just said. So you have to remember there is the potential for more stimulus would definitely help the market, and more good news about getting ahead of this virus also will help things. So because I still believe, look, Amazon rocketed to new highs. Oh, by the way, check out XLRN.
XLRM.
RM.
Got it.
No, N with an N.
N, got it.
Sorry.
There we go.
This is the one. Remember, this stock initially, the way it went up, then it kind of messed around, and then did pull back with the market eventually. But I mean, it just recently hit new all-time highs. That's a pretty big deal. And if you look at IBB, I think it hit new all-time highs yesterday. Now it's got a kind of a head and shoulders thing there, which is something to be careful of, right? Mm-hmm. If it were to gap down, but the pharmaceutical sector has, now it's not reflected in the LABU, which is a triple, but this thing, I think it took out the 14 highs. If you can squeeze it up a bit.
You want to go to a weekly or monthly?
Probably a weekly, I guess. No, not quite there yet. But very dramatic rebound, and I think this is going to go to new all-time highs. This thing. So the LABU is actually putting in a good performance today, and obviously with Gilead and all these medical stocks, the sector is it's potentially one of the hottest sectors now, the medical arena. So look at it. Just I could put an mRNA, because we haven't looked at that one for a while. I mean, I'm actually amazed that this stock is so strong. Look at that. Just it's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
There it is on a daily.
Yeah. So that's kind of the wrap up. Put up the VIXs if you would, the TBIX, Dwayne.
Go.
Yeah, I mean, you could, what was impressive yesterday. See that sort of upside down doji the day before on Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then strong up day yesterday, and this gap up today. But this is critical now, because if we continue higher, you're leaving a kind of an island bottom, which would be very dangerous to the market going down, in other words. Or if this thing goes red, if it becomes a red candle, that might be almost a dead cat bounce in terms of the VIXs. So this is a very critical, it's kind of a critical day, because it's only Tuesday and we're having a down day. So if we go positive today, it kind of that would be amazing, and it would certainly nip this thing in the bud and potentially prevent a bad week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So kind of looks like that might happen, actually. So I think we called it right on the money about half an hour ago. So
yeah. All right, John.
Okay, listen, have a great.
I'm sure glad you're feeling better.
Thanks.
We were worried, because for you to miss 2 days back to back,
3 days.
Yeah, you had to be pretty sick. So we've been praying for you. So I'm just glad you're feeling better.
All right, no, thanks very much. I could feel it, and thanks very much for.
You're welcome.
All the good, for everything you've done. Much obliged. Thanks.
All right, take good care. Bye-bye. All right, guys, back to Concierge Trade Alerts. If you haven't grabbed a screenshot yet, go ahead and do that if you want one. These alerts went out last night. Now, this is the static report that goes out shortly after the Globex Open. Got it out 15 minutes after the open last night. Remember the Logic 247, the ones we were looking at before, those come out around the clock. This is a static report. Comes out shortly after the Globex Open. These numbers are good for the entire session. On the S&P, the alert was to be short 2802. And that happened right here. $28.02. So the first move down took us to $27.72. So that's about a 30-point move at $50 a point. It's $1,500 per contract traded. And then price got back above the trigger. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. Price gets back above the trigger. Down we go again. Now this time from 2802, we make it all the way down to 2722. That's about an 80-point move at $50 a point. That's $4,000 per contract traded. Our lowest weekly trading zone for this week is just below us at 2708/09. That's this week's zone. So if you entered here and set your sights on the trade to target, we didn't quite get there as of yet, but this one trade had enough profit in it, trading one contract, to pay for a passport. On the Dow, last night's alert, consider being short 23 330. $23,330. Down at the zone from 23,330 to 23,130. That's a 200-point move, $5 a point. It's $1,000 per contract traded. Get back above the trigger. Trigger again. There's another 1,000, and then it just keeps going. On the Russell, last night's alert, consider being short 1204. That happened right here. 1204 down to 1191. That's 13 points at $50 a point. Price gets back above the trigger. Triggers again. And this time it takes us from 1204 down to 1170. That's 34 points. 30 times 50, $1,500 per contract traded. On the NQ, last night's alert was to be short 86.75. So the first drop from 86.75 took us down to 86.02. So 70-point drop at $20 a point. That's $1,400 per contract traded. Price got back above the trigger. And then from 86.75 we dropped to, even if we'd only dropped to 83.75, that's a 300-point move, $20 a point. That's $6,000 per contract traded. One contract, that right there pays for a passport. We've already covered the crude. And back to the Logic 247. We left off here. But what I want you to do, if you're on the trial, is I want you to walk through each and every one of these alerts. From the entry to the trade to target. I want you to do the math. I want you to see with your own hand, with your own calculator, the type of opportunities that are out there waiting for you. There's lots of opportunity right now. I think we'll continue to see good volatility for some time to come. As the pandemic ends, as the economy restarts, and we have a presidential election. So I still think there's a lot of good trading opportunities left in this year. But you never know when things are going to quieten down and dry up and maybe get a little bit slower. So if you've always wanted to try being a trader, maybe you just never had enough time to devote to it. Most folks, because of the shutdown or lockdown, you may have time on your hands now that you didn't have before. Everything starts with us by taking the trial at Emini Trading School.com. Emini Trading School.com. Go there, name, email address. Valerie will send you all the information you need. You get to spend 5 days with us in the live training room each morning, 2 hours a day, 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. live instruction, where you get to ask all the questions you want. You get to use our platform, you get to use our indicators, and you get the alerts, both the Concierge and the Logic alerts. each and every day during your trial. The cost for that is $0. No credit card required. Just go to Emini Trading School.com. Emini Trading School.com. Let's go to our good word for the day. People pleasers, we all know them. Are you one of them? Is that a good thing or is it a bad thing? Galatians 1:10 says, I'm not trying to win the approval of people, but of God. If pleasing people were my goal, I would not be Christ's servant. People pleasing does two things. It makes you neglect your own needs in order to meet other people's. Number two, it causes you to make decisions based on their approval of you. Either way, you can end up feeling like a doormat. Maybe you became a people pleaser early in life to get the attention you craved and couldn't get any other way. Or maybe you never learned to trust your own judgment. Proverbs 29:25 says, fearing people is a dangerous trap because it always backfires. Not only do others get upset with you, you end up disappointed with yourself when things don't work out. Peter struggled with people pleasing the night before the crucifixion when a servant girl said, hey, you are one of those with Jesus. Peter denied it in front of everyone. I don't know what you're talking about, he said in Matthew 26. Afterwards, he ended up weeping over his failure. When Samuel confronted Saul about his decision not to completely destroy the Amalekites, Saul admitted in 1 Samuel, I was afraid of the people and did what they demanded. Paul, on the other hand, wrote in 2 Timothy, I'm not trying to win the approval of people, but of God. If pleasing people were my goal, I would not be Christ's servant. It's good to be considerate, loving, and patient, but you can't let yourself be intimidated and manipulated. God has not given us a spirit of timidity, but of power. When you yield to the fear of others, you allow them, not God, to control your life. God doesn't want you to serve people out of fear, but out of love for them and love for Him. And that's a good word for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of host Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.